The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Welcome to Getting to Know You. My name is Joe Nash. Today we're going to be talking with our yearly visit with Adirondack Folk School. They're up in Lake Luzerne. They promote the arts, crafts, culture, and history of the Adirondacks. They have all kinds of classes. As you can see, you'll see in a second, I'm surrounded by all kinds of stuff they make up there. We have with us Rand Condell, the president of the school, so welcome back, you've been here before, and Scott Hayden, the new executive director, just started in June. And we're going to be talking about how you guys are doing this year, what went on this summer. We have an event to talk about in October. Why don't we start with Scott, since you're new, you started this June. Why did you take over this school?
Well, it seemed like an incredible opportunity, and the more I learned about the school, the more I kind of fell in love with the people and just the arts and crafts, the instructors, the students, and just the more pictures I saw, the more I saw the school in action, the more I wanted to be a part of it.
Okay, I should say the classes are in traditional Adirondack things like canoe making, blacksmithing, rug making, fiber arts, paddle making. We got the Adirondack chair here, you can see. I'm obviously not naming everything. I already had a short class before we started in how to make colonial nails and the door latch. I had a nice little thing. We'll show you some of that. So Rand, why don't you tell us, this summer, you guys had a good year this year. I think you said over 20 of your classes sold out, and you had a lot of people this year. And you should say people come not just from all over New York State, not just from all over the USA. You have people from all over the world coming to some of your classes due to your teachers.
That's true. We've had folks from Europe and Africa, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Korea, Germany. So folks are beginning to know about the school and want to come here.
Why do you think learning these traditional arts and crafts is catching on in the last, 7-8 years for us?
Well, I think that it's more of our life is controlled by technology.
Yeah.
Folks want to find a simpler, something simpler in their life, mm-hmm. and something that was more traditional and something that they can actually fix, repair, make themselves, walk home and say, I made this. And that's really started to catch on.
And then you are also, besides president of school, you're a blacksmith. And blacksmithing is it fair to say it's the most popular class up there?
Blacksmithing is, our program is considered one of the top in the country.
Okay.
And we do about 70 days of blacksmithing a year, okay. Blacksmithing classes. And we attract the top instructors in the country to come to our school.
Now, and Rand, when you took over, one of the things I was talking a little bit before we started, all your teachers, they're sort of world class, I guess you could say, mm-hmm. in basket weaving, canoe making, etc. But not only do they show people how to make things, one thing I've noticed about going through your material, they're very interested in the history of their craft, and they pass that on during the classes. Is that what they?
Yeah, that's the kind of the folk component of these classes, not just how it's made, but why it was made a particular way, or why it was made in this style, and why it was important at that time, and how that became part of why it was made. So, I mean, everything here has there's a kind of a reason for why.
Like a story behind everything.
A story behind it, and when you're what Rand was saying, when you're slowing down and you're making it by hand, it kind of allows for that kind of interaction, that deeper knowledge, and not just with the instructor, but with the other students. So these small classes, everybody gets to know one another.
Okay, and just from learning a little bit of how to make the nails, you had a whole story about, tell that little story about the nails when people actually
Sure.
burn their houses.
Well, in colonial days, iron, although much of it was made in this country, it had to go back to England. It was illegal to sell iron here in the United States that hadn't gone first to England and then come back.
And this is before the Revolution?
Before the Revolution, colonial days. So if you wanted a nail, first off, the iron was imported.
Yeah.
And secondly, it had to go through a whole process to make it. The way you got the stock to make the nail, it could have been flat stock. It could have been, hopefully it was something that was round or square, but in small diameter. But then you had to go through a whole process to make the nail. Nowadays, you can go into a store, the nails are poured into a form. They're very inexpensive. But years ago, first you'd start out with a piece of stock, and then you'd have to taper it like this. And then after you tapered it, you had to put a notch in it.
Okay.
And then you'd have to put a second notch in it. And once that was done, it would go into a nail header like this. And you'd break off this extra piece, and then you'd hammer that little boss there down to make your nail. So it was an extensive process.
Okay.
Nails were extremely expensive. And instead of nails, what people used in most of their homes were these pins. These pins are called trunnels, but it stems from the words tree nails. It's a shortening of the... And it was much easier to make a tree nail, a trunnel, and they used them on the big beams that were used in houses and barns.
Okay, and you were saying nails were so expensive.
Nails were so expensive.
People actually...
So instead of having a nail this size and trying to buy another one or make another one, people would actually burn their houses down to take what nails were there as they moved out west, because they were very, very dear in those days.
That's expensive. Well, with all your classes, I should say it's AdirondackFolkSchool.org. There's classes all year round. One of the things you did, Scott, you could talk about, you had this summer, you had a craft fair.
Yes.
How did that go?
I think it went extremely well. We had over 20 craft vendors at our school on a beautiful Saturday in August with great music, kids' activities, and everybody had a great time.
And then this is an annual event. It will be in August?
It will.
Okay. Now, the other thing we should talk about, because it was a big event, and I understand you had this on one of the hottest days of the year, you had the Blacksmith Instructor Rendezvous, where you had these blacksmith teachers from all over North America. And they came, and why don't you tell us what that involved, the rendezvous. I've heard of the Harley Rendezvous. I've never heard of the Blacksmith Instructor Rendezvous.
Well, this is probably the only place in the country that it happens. And all of our instructors come.
See, one of the few times all these guys get together?
Yeah, the only time they get together to do this sort of thing.
To do blacksmithing.
Sometimes we get together for conferences.
But this is the only time
they all came together
and
just to make things for the school. And we had, as was just said, we had the very top instructors in the United States. And it's really remarkable. This is the second year that they've come. They're already signed up for next year.
Okay, good.
And so this year what we did, last year we made tools for the shop, and this year we made some tools.
But you made things for your year, for the next...
Yes, we make our own tools.
Oh, okay.
So most of the tools that are used in the shop are made in the shop.
But during this, do you have people come and they just observe, or they take part, or they watch?
They can watch.
Okay.
We've had a few kids come in and use a sledgehammer once in a while, but mostly they watch, because these smiths are all working from early in the morning till late at night.
And so they made tools for the school.
They made tools for the school, plus they made storyboards for each of the classes that they teach. So this is a storyboard for the beginning knife class.
Okay. So
we start out with a rectangular piece of stock, and these are the various stages of forging to make the knife. And then after the knife is forged, then we go through a grinding process, and filing process. And this is the actual finished knife from this storyboard.
Okay. And you have a class in like knife making? Is that one of your classes?
We actually have quite a few classes
Okay.
in knife making. We do a hunter like this. We do a kitchen knife. We're going to do a Bowie knife this year.
Okay.
We do axes. We do tomahawks. So we do quite a few edge tools.
Well, I should say the classes range from what, 1 day to a week?
10.
Up to 10. Like I know your canoe making class is 10 days. The chair here is a
4-day class.
A 4-day class. What are and I was mentioning your teachers come from all over, or the people come from all over the country. Some people plan their vacations around coming up. Scott, why don't you tell us about some of the...
Sure. This past summer, we had a young man from New Jersey. He wanted to take 2 classes, so his family rented a house in Lake George and spent almost 2 weeks while the family was touring around Saratoga and Lake George this summer. He took 2 classes back to back,
Okay.
and he had the time of his life.
Oh, good. And then, Randy, you were telling me before we started, you know, when you think of school and in classes, you think it's individuals come and take a class, but one of the most popular things up there, you have classes for for families, for groups, corporations?
Yes, we've been. That's been expanding over the past few years.
Becoming very popular?
Mm-hmm. We had a company come from, a Scandinavian company come, and we ran a program for them. They made small pack baskets.
Okay, maybe you should hold that up. This is like...
They made a small model of this.
Oh, okay. The basket, that's a very popular... Yeah, those things hold... Because I watch you unload this every time you come down here. That thing holds a lot of stuff.
It sure does.
What's that called? Adirondack basket?
It's an Adirondack pack basket.
Okay.
It's
So they came from where? Scandinavia?
It's an international company.
Okay.
It's based in Scandinavia, and they had a meeting here in the Sagamore Hotel.
Oh, okay.
And they called us and asked us if we would come run a program.
So what kind of class would a family take? What kind of class would a family take?
Well, we actually had a family take the canoe class.
All right, they made their own.
They made their own. Yeah, they called the school. They set it up. It was just kind of the guys of the family, and they spent the 2+ weeks with our master boat builder, Larry Benjamin, crafting this beautiful boat.
They made 5 of them.
They made 5. Yeah.
In 1 week?
In 2 weeks.
Oh, in 2 weeks. Okay.
So.
And the one thing about your canoe class, I think, Rand, you were telling me, you go home with it, right?
Right. We're the only place in the United States or Canada where everybody makes their own canoe and everyone goes home with their own. Usually what happens in other places is they make one canoe and then they auction it off among the students. But here, everybody goes home with their own.
Oh, okay.
And that's important about our school. It's like you're not just you're leaving with your own heirloom quality craft that you made yourself. You're leaving with it.
Okay, and then I should say again, I know I said it twice already, but your teachers are, like, I think you have a basket weaver, a woman who's like one of the best around.
Several, yeah.
Oh, okay, you have several, okay.
Yeah, they're phenomenal.
All right, so you have an event coming up I'd like to talk about. It's going to be Friday, October 14th, up at the Saratoga Arts Center. It's a concert by Adirondack folk singer Dan Berggren and Alex Smith, and I've seen Dan. He's really good. He's excellent. And tell us about this event. Is this a big fundraiser? And
yeah, it's one of our fundraisers. It's a benefit concert. Dan Berggren, we're fortunate. Speaking of top quality instructors, he teaches one of folk music class for us.
Okay, so you have music classes.
We have a couple of music classes. So he's kind enough to perform on our behalf, along with one of his proteges, Alex Smith, who's from the northern Adirondack region.
Okay, and that's
Friday night, October 14th.
Okay, that'll be on the screen here. And I've seen Dan. He's really good, a great voice. He writes all his own. He writes a lot of songs about the history of the area.
The history of the area.
So, what are some of the classes we have? And I see here you have a lot of wood classes, woodworking, wood turning, stuff like that. Are they as popular as some of these other ones, furniture making?
Yeah, we have a lot of woodworking classes. We have a new program, a new wood turning program where we'll be turning hollow forms like this that are vases and
Okay.
things like that. We just got in $4,000 worth of new equipment just to do that.
Oh, okay.
It's laser guided, so you won't cut through the walls. And we do a lot of Adirondack furniture, twig and bark furniture. We do frames and we do bed frames, picture frames, tables of all sorts.
So it sounds like you guys, I think the last time you were here, I can't remember, was it 1 year or 2 years ago, had some financial, you had a big grant fundraiser, but it sounds like this year you had a really big year.
Yes, we came close to closing in January, and we
Okay.
put out a letter to our membership, and we were lucky the newspapers also picked it up, and inside of 3 weeks, we raised $41,000.
A nice-
And not only that, we had a tremendous increase in number of people that took classes.
Okay, so what would you say, Scott, this year, if things are going really well and you're getting your 2017 catalog ready?
Yes.
Okay.
No, since that, it kind of catapulted our popularity and support that appeal back in the wintertime. So since then, we've enjoyed a great, like Rand was mentioning before, a great boost in enrollment in our classes. We have a full weekend coming up in October and throughout the fall.
And you're having, this is for the Blacksmith fans, the next one coming up is October 19th. Well, there's one tomorrow, but we're filming this, so people won't get that. But October 19th, you have a thing called the Open Forge Night. What is that?
So every month, every month from April through October, we have on the third Wednesday of each month, folks can come between 6:30 and 8:30 and try their hand at the forge if they'd like.
Okay.
We don't have one forge, we have 9 forges,
Really?
cold
Okay.
forges, and we have 5 gas forges. So,
All right.
we've got very good tooling.
Homemade. And now, do you have that other storyboard there? Could you show that one?
Sure. We
do.
Is that like the steps? Would this be something you might do that night or something similar?
Well, probably not that night.
But I mean, you get the
yes.
idea of how
one of the things we do.
How something's made.
So this is to make a Staghorn Hinge.
Okay.
And you start out with a rectangle.
Kind of like the knife. You just got to keep in case people can't see. It's a square.
Can you see it?
Yeah. More or less a square
It
piece.
starts out with a rectangular piece, and then it gets tapered.
Okay.
That's the first piece there, tapered down, and then it gets split with a hot chisel. So this whole thing gets heated and hit with a hot chisel and a hammer. And then you start to form one of the horns
While it's
hot.
yeah. Okay.
So there's actually numerous heats in order to do this.
Yeah,
It doesn't happen in one heat. After you first get to form the horn, then you have to widen it out, and you do that with a hammer. And here we have both horns and the beginning of the face widened out. In this piece, we have
That's good. Just like that. Yeah.
We've now widened out the horns in 2 places. And the reason we've done that is that we're going to then chisel the rest of the antler.
So open forge night, people just come and observe, and you show
People come
demonstrate.
they can come and observe, or they can actually use a forge.
Okay.
There is a charge for using the forge, and the materials cost.
Okay.
We have an instructor there if they'd like some instruction. They learn how to build a fire. They learn how to make something.
So this one in October is the last one for the
this
season.
year.
Okay. All right. Well, good. Well, that's excellent. So, what goes on up there in the winter? I know it's the slower part of the year, but you are open all year round.
We're open all year round.
What would be some of the winter?
Possibly, we might do some caning.
Okay, so you'd be
We'll do basketry. We do a lot of lampshades, I think,
Okay.
if you can see that.
oh yeah, there's a lamp. Yep, there's a lampshade. Okay.
Shades of Nature, that one's called.
What is that called?
Called Shades of
Okay.
Nature. You get to design your own lampshade with.
Okay.
We do soap making and candle making. We do tinsmithing.
Oh, okay.
We do a lot of woodworking
And weaving.
and weaving. We have a weaving program. In fact, we just moved to a new building for our weaving program.
Okay, so how many, Scott would probably know this, how many classes actually are there?
Well over 200 a year.
200, oh,
200.
okay, wow.
So we have 2 or 3 classes every weekend through the summer. Those are a lot of our week-long classes and long weekends.
Okay.
But yeah, we over 200 classes throughout the year. We also have those special programs mentioned earlier that are not just at our school, but off-site at different venues like the Adirondack Museum, different libraries, and different community centers.
And you have, of course, I think I was reading in your thing, you have a lot of returnees.
Yes.
Not just the teachers, but the people come and
Yeah, sort of like just being an observer at the beginning. Once you experience taking one of these classes, you're kind of hooked, and you look for an opportunity to come back. Our ratings, it's like 97% excellent rating for our students when they. At the end of the class, they're all extremely satisfied for coming from out of town and taking the 2 or 3 days to take a class. They're deeply satisfied, and that's very rewarding and validating to what we do.
And then you just said, Rand, you open a new building. Is that what you just said, or are you guys expanding, or?
Well,
Yes.
we've just moved all of our fiber arts program into a building that's about 1,000 feet, about 300 feet away from where we are.
And you guys are right on the Lake Luzerne, right in the main.
Yes, it's right on.
Okay.
It's the next building over.
The next.
It is.
So,
And how do you see the future, Scott, for the school?
I think we have a very bright future. I really do. The interest seems to be gaining more and more. The more people find out about, not just hear about the school, but really learn about, a multitude of offerings. I mean, over 200 classes in over 20 disciplines. There's something for everybody. If you're looking to learn how to make something, and like Rand was mentioning earlier in the show, people are looking for more of an experience, not just to buy something or to take something, but this is a place where you can come and gain a real experience, have a story, and leave with an heirloom item that you'll have for the rest of your life, and that you can pass on to your family. And if you only come once, you at least have this beautiful Staghorn knife, or a beautiful Coopered bucket you made yourself.
Well, the chair. I like
the beautiful
the chair.
Sagamore chair. That's frankly, it really is one of a kind and extremely comfortable. It's way more comfortable than.
So the people that come from far away, either from another country or another part of America, how do they? I mean, how do they find out about you guys? I mean, it can't just be the internet. I mean, it must be. Do your teachers somehow get the word out when they go back?
Well, some of our teachers are extremely famous, and people follow them on their websites. And we have one instructor that gets 10,000 hits a day on his site.
Who is that? I mean,
Mark Asprey is a blacksmith from California. And then we have a number of blacksmiths now. Our knife instructor is Matt Parkinson, or at least this knife instructor. And if anybody has seen Forged in Fire on TV, he won the first episode. He forged a Japanese sword, and they shot it with a rifle, and it split the bullet. And so Matt's been on TV quite a bit. And our new instructor that's going to be teaching the Bowie knife, he was also one of the winners on Forged in Fire.
So these people have followed. So if they say they're going to be up in the Adirondacks, they may get people to come just because they know that they'll be there.
Yes.
I think I saw on the internet, it may have been through your website, I think it was, is there some kind of blacksmith or forging network or something, or what?
There is a national organization called the Artist Blacksmiths of North America, and then there are local affiliates. There's one here in the Capital District. There's one in the lower Hudson Valley, and there's one in New England, and there's one in the northwestern part of the state. So I'm a member of all four, and so I go from one conference to another.
All right, but I think I saw there was a little show, or maybe it was, I can't remember what it was now, but it was like there was all these blacksmithing techniques, and so have you been on any of these shows? What was that show called? Forged
in Fire. I'm not a knife maker.
Okay. All right. So the other thing is, you're working on this now. This is the catalog for this year, but the new ones will be out pretty soon, or when in the spring, or
right New Year.
Around the New Year's, we'll have the catalogs here in the library. We have some older ones if you want to take a fall class, and then Friday, October 14th, with the concert up at Saratoga Arts Center with Dan Bergren, right? Did I say it right that time? Bergren, I'm sorry. Who I've seen is really good. So have we forgotten anything? Did you?
If they want tickets for the concert, they
tickets.
should call the school.
Call the school.
Number at the school is 518-696-2400.
Okay, that'll be on the screen, and you can find out information at AdirondackFolkSchool.org for all this stuff here. I hope people saw. So thanks for coming back again, Rand and
Thank
Scott.
you.
Good luck on your executive directorship.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and we'll see you next time on Getting to Know You.